funny because my whole life I would never have thought that I would turn into a runner. It was just something that I was like, oh, I can't run. Are you kidding? I can't run. And even if I did, I would be so slow.
Life became less about the race and more about the marathon for Kristine Che.
I just started challenging myself to go 1 minute, 1 run minute, that's it. And then you can walk. And I would do that, and then I would run a couple of minutes during a walk.
And running truly became a form of therapy for her.
It was kind of my light at the end of the tunnel at that point, you know, because it was at a point in my life where I felt like I didn't really have my own sense of self anymore. I had, lost my identity in a lot of ways.
Kristine grew up in Bridgeport, Connecticut with her 2 older brothers and 2 older sisters, and being the youngest, there was never a dull moment.
Yes, I have lots of siblings, 2 brothers, 2 sisters, great big family, lots of fun. Both my parents were only children, so they were like, we're having tons of kids, we're having a big house, lots of kids.
With 2 working parents to model after, it's pretty obvious to see where Kristine gets her drive. Education and having a successful career was imperative, but at the time, hitting the books was the only thing running through her mind.
My dad was a dentist. He had his office in what was our garage. My mom was a nurse. So I was born in the 70s, and I had a working mom, which I think had a lot to do with my own career. It was very important that we found something that we liked to study and go away to school. Education was very important to both my parents.
And the University of Colorado is where she began her journey in the field of engineering.
I also always took it very seriously. I loved the University of Colorado. It was a wonderful school. I spent most of my time in the engineering building just because it was a pretty demanding major. I'm really an introvert, and I think you'll find a lot of people in the engineering field that are introverts, and so I kind of felt like I'd found my people.
But it was an internship in California that would uproot her to the West Coast.
The gentleman who ended up hiring me, his name's Babu Shankar. He ran a lighting firm here in Los Angeles in Marina del Rey. He came out actually for a weekend. We had a little kind of a training, it was a retreat that we would all go on. And we had a couple of professionals come and show us their work and everything. And I was just in awe of his work. And there was no doubt in my mind I was going to work for Babu Shankar.
And with the internship of her dreams and the abundance of warm, sunny days, California really became more and more attractive.
My first year in California was a whirlwind. I worked a lot. My job was very demanding, especially where in the position that I was doing CAD for people and calculations and really supporting the senior staff and learning a lot. And I couldn't get enough at that point. I just, I wanted to work on every job. I wanted to go on every trip because there were plenty to go to, either to meet with the design team or to go to the actual job site, do field assessments, do aim and focus at the end of the job. It was great, and I loved it. Loved every second of it.
It was easy for Kristine to consume herself in her career and get lost in the day-to-day shuffle, but as friends and colleagues started to move on, she realized it was really time to venture out of her shell.
I was really kind of just my roommates from my social group for a long time, and then when the people who I knew started to leave, either they got married or they moved away, then I started to look outside of that group, outside of my colleagues, basically, and I started cycling.
Kristine really took advantage of everything California had to offer. She was cycling, she was running, many of the activities she didn't do much of growing up.
We were more bookworms, I'd say, all of us, me and my siblings, as well as my parents. We were bookworms, and we weren't all athletic at all. But when I came out here, everyone was riding their bikes and running and doing all these things, and I was like, wow, that looks like fun.
After investing in a new bike, she could not take her foot off the pedal.
There, eventually I did meet my husband, actually riding bikes. We were both wearing Lycra and helmets and everything. And we were on a group ride, and I just met him and we started talking. He said, "Oh, can I ride you home?" And it was very nice. He was a gentleman. We spent a few months together, but by this time I was 33, 34, and I was not getting any younger, So, we decided very quickly, a few months after we started dating, that we wanted to get married. I was like, we gotta get on with this. So he proposed on my birthday in our little apartment in Redondo Beach, and it was great. We got married at La Venta in Palos Verdes. It's such a beautiful place. We loved it. The second we went, we were just like, oh yes, this is the place. And it's small. It's a small venue, which was perfect because we wanted a very small wedding. I think we had 56 people total, including us.
They were surrounded by only their closest friends and family for a very intimate ceremony.
We complement each other a lot. We're very different, actually. He went to school till, in Peru, the education system would go until about 16, 17. So he did all of his schooling and then just started finding ways to make money. It was much harder there than it is here.
Born and raised in Peru, Paul came to the United States with only $200 in his pockets, along with a will to create a life for himself here in the U.S. One thing Kristine was attracted to right away was her husband's ambitions, which echoed her own, and she knew she'd found her better half.
Immediately, as soon as I met him, I had that shift from, no, I don't want any kids, to, oh, I'd love to have children with you. So I knew immediately we would have kids together.
2 years later, Kristine's active lifestyle would have to slow down while pregnant with her son, but for her husband, there was no stopping him. Paul worked in many bike shops, but nothing would satisfy him more than owning his own business.
His shop is called Sprocket Cycles. It's on Pacific Coast Highway in Redondo Beach. And he caters to both the beach cruiser market, mountain bike market, as well as the high-end road bike market. Really family-oriented, kind of mom and pop business.
And with her husband's bike shop up and running and her own thriving career in engineering, she would get pregnant again, and this time with her daughter.
He just wanted a sister, but from the second, we didn't even know if we were having a boy or a girl, but oh yeah, I'm having a sister, she's a girl. And he was just so excited. He couldn't wait to meet her. And I have such a vivid memory of us pulling up right in front of the house, and he was standing on the front porch waiting, and both sets of grandparents were there. And he just ran to the car because he could not wait to see his sister. At that moment, he didn't care about me at all. He's like, whatever, Mom was gone for a couple of days, but my sister's here.
Getting her husband's business off the ground, welcoming their second child, and taking care of their son left Kristine unprepared to face what was heading her way.
So my husband was working a lot. He was working 7 days a week. And we knew that. We knew that we had signed up for that. And I was kind of like, okay, I know we're just going to do this for the first couple years. It's going to be really hard. And it's something that I accepted, but it was hard. It was much harder than I had anticipated, just because I had a newborn and I had a 4-year-old. And I felt kind of numb. Like there wasn't much joy in my life, I guess. There wasn't anything I was really excited about. And before that, my life felt so exciting and gratifying, and at that point I didn't feel fulfilled.
There was a shift in Kristine's attitude that she didn't quite understand. She lost her appetite, she was emotional, and it took a much longer time to get back to work after her daughter was born. This was quite different from the way she felt after giving birth to her son. When we come back, find out how this change of emotions took over Kristine's life and her fight to find herself again.
My favorite thing about music is it's reliable. It's always there.
And it just helps me cheer up other people.
There's nothing to worry about when you do music. You're just having fun.
When I'm playing it, I'm like, wow, this is me. I sometimes just like shock myself.
When you play music, you are playing life.
Kristine has always been a career woman. She had everything: a great husband, 2 kids, a new house she just purchased in Torrance, and she just started a job in sales in her field. But with the birth of her daughter came a depression so deep that she lost herself. Her career always came easy to her, but Kristine found it challenging to balance all of the things in her life and still make herself a priority.
And it was a really hard time in my life. I didn't even realize it until probably she was maybe 9 months old or so. But I had kind of just lost my purpose. I was just kind of going through the motions. And I know people say that, and I didn't really get it until I experienced it myself. I lost a lot of weight just without trying. I just didn't have an appetite. There weren't too many things that I loved to do. I pretty much just went to work and came home and was mom here. And
as the concerns for Kristine's health continued to grow, and after consulting with her husband, she knew it was time to seek professional help.
You know, I told him, I was like, okay, I think I need to go to the doctor. And he's like, yeah, that's a good idea. He was worried about me, and he was always very supportive of me, but he knew something was wrong, and he wanted me to get help, you know. I didn't even know who to talk to. I felt like, gosh, this is a topic that people aren't, you know, out with. They're not, oh yes, I've suffered from postpartum depression. People just don't talk about it a lot. Now I feel very comfortable talking to my friends, talking to my community, because, you know, I know a lot of them have experienced it as well. I'm definitely not alone.
Kristine suffered from postpartum depression, a medical condition linked to unique hormonal changes that occur to women after childbirth, triggering depression, loss of appetite, and even trouble sleeping. And Kristine felt many of these symptoms, making it difficult to function day to day.
I did not have postpartum depression after my son, which, you know, I don't know. So it was interesting that after my daughter, that's when I realized something was wrong. My son was 4 when my daughter was born, and he was a wonderful help. So I had, you know, this newborn who I was completely responsible for. I had to do everything for, but I would say, hey buddy, can you, you know, help me by, I don't know, go get me a diaper or a new, you know, some piece of clothing or whatever it was. So I went on the prescription, and when I look back at kind of the transformation from the time that I realized that I was suffering from postpartum depression, it was just little baby steps, you know, and like every couple months I'd say, wow, I feel so much better. Gosh, when I look back at that time, I would feel sad, you know, and then I would do it again, and a couple more months later I would look back and say, oh my gosh, that's when I was just feeling a little bit better. And now, and it was amazing. Like the whole thing took about 18 months really to kind of unfold to a point where I felt like myself again. My husband saw it immediately. He saw it, I mean, you know, as soon as, probably within about the first month, he said, oh yes, you're so, I could tell you're feeling better. You know, he would notice I would smile more, I would cry less, I would, you know, be frustrated less, I would have more patience.
And it is at that exact time that she picked up a new hobby to get her up and moving.
I had been running a little bit before my daughter was born, and then I took almost a year off between the time that late in my pregnancy and then when she was about 9 months old, and finally I started running again, and it felt so good.
Little by little, she started to enjoy life again. Her appetite came back, she was gaining weight, her attitude was changing, and she felt like she was getting her life back.
I really surprised myself because wow, I can do this. This is something I can actually do.
When Kristine is running, it's just her and the sound of her sneakers hitting the pavement.
Yeah, so I decided that Saturday mornings they'll be my mornings. You know, I would take that time for myself. So I would hire a babysitter. I would go out for a run. I would have a cup of coffee, and it was wonderful. It was something that I looked forward to all week.
For Kristine, it was more than just the physical act of running. It was carving out time for herself to focus on making herself stronger physically and mentally.
And something that I don't think I put enough importance on when my daughter was born, and even when my son was little, it was something that I thought, oh, that's being selfish, taking that time, leaving your kids with a babysitter, because my husband worked Saturdays. And it felt a little selfish, but it doesn't anymore. Now it feels great.
But as much as Kristine enjoyed running alone, she missed the camaraderie you build running with others, just like she experienced with cycling.
So when I found the organization, Moms Run This Town, I knew immediately. I was like, okay, I have to see if there's a chapter in my area. And there was a Torrance chapter, but it was quiet. There was a Facebook group and nothing really happened. There was probably about 30 members, but I, posted and does anybody want to run with me? And, it was crickets. So I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of a bummer.
This was exactly the type of group Kristine was looking for, and when an opportunity presented itself to take over a leadership position, Kristine jumped at the chance.
Just started posting little by little and finding, I invited a couple of my friends who were runners, although I didn't have many friends who were runners, so that didn't do too much. But, little by little, I would find a few people who would enter the site. They would either find it on Facebook or they would find it on the national website.
With more than 750 chapters all over the U.S. and Canada, Moms Run This Town was making its mark in the South Bay.
MRTT is actually a national group started by a woman named Pam Burris. And her vision really was to have a group where women could go. They could feel safe. They could feel free to talk about whatever they wanted to, including postpartum depression or how hard it is to be a mom or how hard it is to get time for yourself. And, so I just basically took her vision and brought it to life here in Torrance.
The group was created in March of 2011, and it was everything Kristine was looking for in a group. It was a community where moms with the same passions could build relationships, motivate each other, and of course, run.
So it's important that the group is, it's free, always. It will always be free. And it's important that it's safe. You're not allowed in if you're not female. And a mom, although fur babies count. So we do allow, if women want to join us and they don't have kids, that's okay too. So, but it is important that women feel safe in the group and feel like, they're amongst their kin.
Women of any running level or skill are welcome to join.
I think the biggest thing is, first of all, I know when I first joined the group or when I was looking for running groups, I knew that I was slower than most people. So it was kind of selfish for me because I was like, okay, this group is going to be about those women who feel like they can't join a running group because they don't run fast. That's fine, go join other people who don't run fast. Or if they do run fast, that's fine. What we do is when we have meetups, we do what I call no mama left behind. So you're never gonna be by yourself, even if you're walking.
Kristine noticed there wasn't much of a following in Torrance, so she made it her mission to recruit, promote, and grow her local chapter of Moms Run This Town.
Good. Yeah, I just wanted to let you know that we're gonna meet up on Saturday for a group run if you'd like to join us.
Kristine never gave up, and just like running, she stayed committed to her goal of growing the chapter.
It's interesting because for the longest time, what feels like years, it probably wasn't that long, but I was the only one posting. And I would post, hey, come run with me, or, just ask people questions about where do you like to get your running shoes, or, things like that. Just asking people information just to kind of get them talking. But now there's a really regular amount of discussion on the group, which I love. So we have people posting every day. And also the races are a big part of what we do. We do at least one race per year, and we try to do a kids race as well. So both the kids race and the mom's race, they're free, of course. We usually do a 5K and a 10K. And we just have little prizes, you know, but it's free to come, free to join, free to race. We always have a walking race as well. We have a 3-mile walkers race. So if you want to come and walk, that's great.
Moms everywhere are starting to lace up, but more importantly, they are taking time for themselves.
We do running. We try and do that at least once a week. But we do other things too. We do mom's night outs. We try and do a couple of activities that a year that aren't running related at all, where we just go out and have fun and enjoy each other's company. Those are always the most highly attended events, actually, which is great, and I love that. I mean, a big thing that we've been doing lately that I have found has been working really well is we'll do a monthly challenge. So it's either like some sort of a distance challenge, you know, it's a streak, you have to run a mile a day for the entire month, or this one, February, is a fitness challenge, so you either choose like planks or push-ups or something like that where you're gonna do a certain amount. And it's really getting everybody involved. So people are posting daily onto the site. And yeah, we're not meeting in a physical group all that much, but people are getting involved. And really, if I can reach one woman who was feeling like she was by herself and wasn't motivated to do things for herself, then I really feel like I've done my job.
With the full-time job and the responsibility of the group, Kristine still finds a way to make time for herself, her husband, and her children.
We both bring the kids to school, and then we go have coffee in the morning. So that's kind of our time, and we make sure that that happens. You know, every once in a while, one of us will have a reason why we can't do it, but almost, you know, I'd say at least 4 days a week we do that. We go and we have coffee, whether it's at a coffee shop nearby or whether it's home, we do that. And then you know, he goes to work, and in the evenings I'm here with the kids. We eat dinner at 8:30, which is, you know, we're kind of on the Latin schedule, which is okay, but it's the only way that we get a chance to sit down as a family. One important aspect of the races for me too is that we somehow give back to the community. So I'm starting to choose some charity or some group that needs help. Right, for this March event, we are collecting goods, blankets, toys, that sort of thing for animal shelters in the area.
The most important thing for Kristine to remember is to put herself first and make time for the things that she loves. It's a full load, but she wouldn't change a thing.
You know that saying, if you want something done, give it to a busy person? I think that's it. You just, once you're in motion, you know, you just stay in motion. So I love my job, but I also love coming home and turning that part of myself off at, you know, 6 o'clock, and then going and focusing on my family and focusing on the running group. And so I love to do that. It's a passion of mine. And now, especially seeing women who are in a position where I was 5 years ago, you know, there's a lot of women in my group who have just had babies, or who are pregnant right now, or who have just gone through postpartum depression, and even some who don't. You know, some, they have great pregnancies, they love being a mom, and it's a wonderful situation for them. But all of us have struggles. All of us, you know, whether it's time, whether it's help, you know, whether it's financial, all of us have some struggle.
And she feels the best she has ever felt.
Physically, though, I'm feeling great. You know, I'm loving my job again. I'm loving motherhood again, and I'm enjoying myself socially again, which is a big difference from 5 or 6 years ago.
Kristine is leading her local chapter of a nationwide group of over 30,000 members. She found a community of moms, people she could relate to at a time she needed it the most. She hopes that her story and her fight with depression helps other women like her in the group. But most importantly, she found herself again. For Faces of Torrance, I'm your host, Jesse Pierre, speaking to ordinary people doing extraordinary things.